Hi everyone! So today's video is going to be beginner's brows. We have already done the foundation, so I'm going to go ahead and link that down below because that will be the first video out. And it kind of goes over, you know, different foundation choices, coverage, finishes, and undertones, and everything you need to know to pick a good foundation, my technique and what I do, just as a point of reference, and how to apply and how I got my nice flawless skin. So I'm going to go ahead and link that down below for you guys, and then we're going to go ahead and start on brows. So today's video is going to be a very broken down step-by-step tutorial on how to fill in your brows in sparse areas, setting them, making sure that they are the right color and tone for you, and from there we are going to go ahead and I'll zoom you in so I can show you what I do with my brows. So first, picking a product for your brows is kind of all about dealer's choice. There are so many different kinds of brow products out on the market right now from so many different brands. I mean, you can do this affordable, you can do this high-end, it doesn't really matter. From my experience, I mean, it just depends on the day. I have a little of everything, and I will show you a couple different products that you can pick from so that you can follow along at home. So the first brow product that we'll talk about is actually a brow pomade. They come in every different color, they come in all different shapes and sizes, but for the most part they come in a pot that looks like this, and it is more of a kind of eyeshadow base. It looks like kind of like Painterly Paint Pot from MAC or one of the Maybelline color tattoos. They come in pots that look like that. And what this is a flat matte pomade. It has no shine or shimmer to it, and it actually is the color in taupe for me. Blondes usually want to do either an ash blonde, a dirty blonde, or a taupe color. People from dirty blonde all the way to like a medium brown would want to use like an ash brown, a auburn maybe, or depending on if you have red tones in your hair, a chocolate or a medium brown. There are so many different kinds. What I would do is test them on the back of your hand and see if they match your eyebrow color. If your eyebrow color is super duper blonde, you probably want to use more of like a taupe color. If you have darker brows, more on the darker side would probably be better for you. But you can definitely test them in the store, and testing them on the back of your hand to kind of see if they match your eyebrow is the best way to go. Also, there are powders that you can pick from. I have the Browsing from Benefit, and it looks like this. It's got powder and a brow wax. I mean, these things are, you know, easy to use, and they're portable, and you can take them with you if you are on the go. Also, they have brow pencils, which are really nice, and they have spoolies on one end and then the product on the other. It just depends on your personal preference when you are applying your brows. But to make it easy today, we are going to go ahead, a pomade to go ahead and mark out where I want my brows to go, and then using this to fill in. Setting is another personal choice. They have set gels that are tinted. They've got ones that are completely translucent. It just depends on your personal preference. For me, I really like the Stylist Brow Plumper from L'Oreal because it does have fibers and it gives me a little bit more volume in my brows because they are kind of sparse. And yeah, so let's go ahead and just get into the down and dirty of the brows, and I will show you how I do mine. So now that you're nice and close up, you know, all up in my grill, I like to do when I'm starting my brows, if I am trying to map out the shape that I want, is I use a very small angled brush. It looks like this, and I take the back end of it. What I'm trying to do is center it next to the nose to make sure that the part of my brow that is supposed to be on the inner corner here matches where my nose sits. So for right now, it looks like we just have a little bit of sparseness through here, and I want to make sure that this right here is all even. I do have just a tad bit of sparseness there, so I will be filling that in just a little bit, but for the most part it's sitting exactly where it needs to be. What I'm going to do is go ahead and mark that a little bit with the brow pomade. I'm going to take this angled brush and just dip it in here nice and lightly and just mark out where I want my brow to start. So as you can see there, I have marked that out and it matches exactly where I want it to start. Now, taking the same brush, what I'm going to do is actually use it from the same point of the nose that I marked off this first point and actually go to where the arch should be. So from the point of the nose through the pupil of the eye to the arch of the brow. As you can see, my arch is exactly where it needs to be. Some people only have this part of their eye. They don't have this tail end. So what I do is go ahead and point out where I want the arch, the top of the arch to be. And as you can see, it's sitting exactly where it needs to go. So for the tail, again, I'm going to be using the same spot that I used for the first and the second point, and I'm going to be using this like this. So you can see that my tail doesn't really go as far as it needs to, because what's happening is the points that are important for these to all be symmetrical, side of the nose, the outer corner of the eye, and the brow should be right there. And because mine is super duper sparse, I'm going to go ahead and just mark that out so I know where the end point will be for my brows. So that gives me a better understanding of where everything needs to go, point A, point B, and point C. So I'm going to go ahead and start here, and I'm going to draw a very thin, small line from point A to point B. But what I'm going to do first is take a spoolie of some sort, and I'm going to just brush out these little rogue hairs to make sure that I've got an even surface and everybody's sitting the same way. If you do have some rogue hairs that are just going everywhere, what I would suggest is taking a little bit of some sort of balm that looks like this, and just put your finger in and kind of just rub it so that those hairs lay down. I'm gonna go ahead and do that right now. Now that they're behaving a little bit better, I'm just going to make sure that everybody's sitting where they need to go. And then I will go ahead and start marking out my eyebrow. What I'm using is the Anastasia Beverly Hills Brow Definer, and this is a triangular brow pencil in the color taupe. So what I'm going to do is just mark off, or just follow the marks I already made. So as you can see, what I did was move from A to B. You can see that line there, which will go ahead and be blended once we have the shape that we're looking for. But then I'm going to go from B to C. I am extending that tail just a little bit just to make sure that this all sits correctly. And as you can see, everything looks really nicely and all even. Now that I've got the top shape the way that I want it, what I'm going to do is follow the bottom part. If you do need to mark out the bottom as well, just do the same steps that we did before, because it will give you a better understanding of where those points need to be. Now that my brow has the perfect shape that I want, I'm going to go ahead and just fill it in very, very slowly, and I'm not going to overdo the product. What I'm going to be doing is doing small, light airbrush strokes going through so it looks like hair. I don't want to just press it in there and mark it off. I'm going to do light stroking, and then I'm going to go ahead and use the back part of this brow pencil and just blend everything through. I want it to look like hair as much as possible. I don't want it to look like I have filled in my brows with a pencil and then just kind of left it. So very small strokes to make it look like hair. And it does take a little bit of time, but it's well worth it when it frames your eye and your eyeshadow. Now that I have it filled the way I want to, I'm going to go ahead and just brush out slowly with the spoolie. I'm not going to be brushing it all really hard. What I'm going to do is just small strokes to blend all of the product, because if you are to do it too fast, you can go ahead and move the product, you know, all over your face and then lose the entire shape that you just created. Now you can tell the difference between this brow and this brow. It's very different, and it's much more structured on this side. Obviously they're not perfect right now, but I will show you a couple techniques to make sure that they look on point and make sure that they last all day. Now that I have all of this kind of the shape that I want, what I'm going to go ahead and do is use my Stylus Brow Plumper, and I'm going to show you what it looks like here. It's got a very small brush, and what I'm going to do is just kind of settle and make sure everything is sitting where it needs to sit. This will set it in place and give it the look of fuller brows. Now that I went ahead and did that, what I'm going to use is a little bit of a concealer just underneath to clean up that line, and a small concealer brush. The concealer brush I'm using today is the Concealer F70 from Sigma, and it has a tip like this. Yeah, and that's what it looks like. And I'm going to use the Maybelline Fit Me in Light number 10. And all I'm going to do is just go underneath, just a little bit. And I will probably do just a little bit on top as well, just to make sure that that shape is where it needs to be. This makes sure that the shape is exactly the way that you want it. It conceals any fallout or any kind of rogue color or anything like that underneath that might have gotten away from you. And it just defines that brow and gives you a much better look. I'm going to go ahead and do just a little bit on the top here. And on the side. And as you can tell, I'm using very little because I do not want to get it into the brow hairs. But I want to make sure that everything is the way I want it. Alright guys, so this is the way that the brows look once you have filled them and marked them out and made sure that the points that you have your eyebrow at match what your eye shape is and how to frame that eye. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I hope this was helpful, and I will see you guys in the next video. Bye guys.